Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Patchwork, and this is my first Arma 3 add-on overview. This video will be going over two add-ons that a friend and fellow 161st VSOR member named Kimi made on his spare time. Now the first of the two mods he's released is Helmet Mounted Displays mod, which adds and changes the HMD on the vanilla Arma 3 helicopters to give you more information and try to help reduce the need for the vanilla Arma 3 heads-up display. Now what this will do is it'll add an improved heads-up display to all the vanilla helicopters, as well as fix some of the less functional ones. Now some examples of added information is a vertical speed indicator, an indicated airspeed, and also an above ground level but also an above sea level. Now the information it gives in my experience, such as the vertical airspeed indicator, is really handy to know. Especially as a flight instructor and teaching people what's a safe descent rate when going in for a landing, having a nice numerical and easy to use vertical speed indicator can be really helpful when I'm trying to teach someone or give them something they can reference to. Now another personal favorite feature from this for me is the option to use ASL instead of AGL. Now Arma by default uses above ground level instead of above sea level. This can be a bit of a problem, for instance, in situations like formation flying. If you're trying to have everyone fly at a constant altitude to say 50 meters and you're using above ground level as your unit of measurement, you're going to have to constantly be adjusting your altitude every time you fly over a hill. Or you just have to scrap using altitudes altogether because it's not constant enough for you. Well, but with ASL, or above sea level, it's possible to keep everyone at a stable altitude without having to constantly adjust because of the ever-changing ground below you. Now, another feature he's added is that the Comanche now has a solid box on every contact picked up by the quoted magical radar. Now keep in mind though that in the Little Bird it currently removes the Arma 3 heads-up display such as the ammo counter, airframe integrity, and the radar at the top. However, when I talked with Kimi, he had plans to bring that back the Arma 3 heads-up display in the next update until he can find a better way of implementing his idea for it. Now the next mod he's been working on is the US Helicopters HAFM Overhaul mod. Now this started out actually, I believe, as a simple request for me to help patch the flight model of the UH-1Y Venom, as it was doing barrel rolls at only like 30 meters altitude, no problem. However, he's actually managed to do a lot more to help fix this pack on his free time, and he's actually done a great job with fixing some of the other more glaring issues, and overall added quite a lot of extra features that are actually really nice. Now, arguably, the biggest problem that HAFM Heli's pack had wrong with it was that it was still using the Arma 2 flight model in the Arma 3 engine. So in things like the Black Hawk, it was actually often I would go into an LZ and it would appear I would have landed on some local kid's slip and slide. Friction on the terrain just didn't seem right. Yeah, but if you think that sounds messed up, it was nothing compared to the fact of having a bug damage model due to the Arma 2 flight model. If you ended up getting hit by a missile or an RPG, it ended up that your rotors would basically lock up, you'd fall out of the air like a wet blanket, so essentially auto-rotation, one of the helicopter pilot's most important skills, was impossible. And it was actually because of this that I actually avoided using any HAFM heli I could whenever I could. However, pilots rejoice because this mod ends up fixing that by adding support to the Arma 3 flight model and physics, which in the end fixes some of the biggest issues and problems I had with HAFM helis. But not only that, it also adds plenty of features as well, such as the two gunships have had some great features to improve the gameplay and versatility to the helicopter's role. So the Apache and the Super Cobra have actually been given a lot of additions. So a smaller tweak that really makes it much more enjoyable to be a gunner is the addition to lock to ground mode. What this means is that when you're looking through the optics of the Apache or the Super Cobra, it'll actually fix the crosshair to the ground, allowing for more accurate use in an orbit or where you have a lot of lateral movement. There is a small downside though, that you can't orient your gun when not looking through the optics, so when you're in third person, you will be unable to move the gun unless you are within the optical view. So if you've ever been a gunner on a mission, I think you can appreciate this feature. But not only that though, it has also added the addition of a laser. So with this, you can actually designate a target for other casts in the area, or even lock your own missile to it. Now, another feature that's been added to the gunships is 3 different types of Hellfires. There's the AGM-114 Lima, which is a fire and forget missile named after the radar-guided variant. Though keep in mind that it functions more like an IR-guided missile currently. The next Hellfire type is the AGM-114 Kilo laser-guided missile, meant to be used against armored vehicles. And then third, there's the AGM-114 November laser-guided thermobaric warhead. Now where these become a bit fun is with the addition of your own personal laser designator. So much like you could in real life, if you, instead of just having guns at your disposal, you can actually use these against infantry groupings by laser designating them, locking them, and then go ahead and firing with these thermobaric warheads. Now, rockets have also been tweaked. As we know in vanilla Arma 3, you can just hold down the rocket key and watch tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars being used up in a few seconds. Looks neat, but hardly practical or necessary. So instead, Kimi has added 3 different rocket modes: single, pairs, and full rocket ripple. Now for how I use rockets, I would most likely stick to just a single rocket per trigger pull, since you usually don't need more than that. However, if a JTAC were to call for a rocket strike in a tree line and you don't have great visual, I can also see the use of a 4 rocket ripple being nice. Personally though, I think I'll only end up using the single rocket mode. However, I still think that it's an improvement over Arma 3's current implementation due to not wanting to accidentally waste ammunition by firing more rockets than intended. Now some more features I'm going to go over real quick is bigger dispersion in the Viper and Apache's cannons, improved gunner optics in the Apache, Viper, and Venom, much like the HMD features. It also helps replace broken sounds on the weapons to the vanilla rocket missile and cannon sounds, and also the integration of Kimi's HMDs. And finally, adds more items to the inventory of the helos, such as repair kits and such. Keep in mind that this also includes the HAFM PBOs, so there's no need to download HAFM Helis as well. Now once again, these 2 mods can be found in the description below, so if you want more information or want to download them yourself, you can go ahead and find the links in the description. That will be the end of this video. In the meantime, feel free to check out my other videos, but until the next one, I'm Patchwork, and welcome to the war.